Yeah, but some blood. Cro Cop.
Right leg hospital, left leg cemetery. These weren't just words. They were a promise, a warning. A guarantee written in knockouts and broken dreams. This is the story of Mirko Cro Cop Filipovic, a Croatian anti-terrorism officer who became one of the most feared strikers in MMA history. A man whose legendary career ended not in the cage, but with a ban that shocked the combat sports world. Born September 10, 1974, in a small Croatian village called Prvaca, Mirko Filipovic's life began far from the bright lights of combat sports. His first love, track and field. He was a sprinter with dreams of Olympic glory. But one night changed everything. He saw Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport. That single movie ignited a fire that would consume the next 3 decades of his life. Young Mirko didn't have fancy equipment, so he got creative. He poured concrete into bars, stuffed old awnings with sawdust, whatever it took to build his makeshift heavy bag. At just 7 years old, he began training in Taekwondo, then karate, building the foundation for what would become the most devastating striking arsenal in MMA. But as Mirko was coming of age, Croatia was being torn apart by war in the early 1990s. His father passed away during this tumultuous time. Life was hard. Survival wasn't guaranteed. To make ends meet, Mirko worked as a bouncer. But his discipline and fighting skills led him to something bigger. He joined Croatia's elite anti-terrorism unit, the Luchko Special Forces. This wasn't just any police job. This was Croatia's answer to Navy SEALs, or SAS. And that's where the nickname was born, Cro Cop, short for Croatian Cop. By the early 2000s, Cro Cop had transitioned fully into combat sports. First in kickboxing, where he competed in K1, then into Pride Fighting Championships, the premier MMA organization in the world. And this is where the legend truly began. His left high kick was like a guided missile. Opponents knew it was coming. They trained specifically to avoid it. And it didn't matter. Bob Sapp, KO'd. Igor Vovchanchin, destroyed. Mark Coleman, knocked out cold. Josh Barnett, shoulder dislocated, submitted. Between 2003 and 2006, Mirko Cro Cop was on an absolute tear. He wasn't just winning, he was finishing fighters in spectacular fashion. His 2004 battle with Alexander Emelianenko showcased his growth as a complete mixed martial artist. Not just a striker anymore. He could grapple, he could control distance, he could adapt. And then came his crowning achievement. The 2006 Pride Openweight Grand Prix Championship. He defeated 3 opponents in one night to claim the title. At this moment, Mirko Cro Cop was considered one of the top 3 heavyweights on the planet, alongside Fedor Emelianenko and Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. The only blemish? His 2005 loss to Fedor for the Pride Heavyweight Championship, a fight that proved Mirko could be taken down and controlled by an elite grappler. But even in defeat, his legend only grew. In late 2006, the announcement came. Mirko Cro Cop was coming to the UFC. This was huge. Pride was collapsing. The UFC was ascending. And they'd just signed one of the most dangerous fighters on earth. His debut at UFC 67 in February 2007? Perfect. He demolished undefeated prospect Eddie Sanchez with a first-round TKO. Everything was going according to plan. And then, disaster. UFC 70, April 2007, Gabriel Gonzaga, Mirko Cro Cop, the head kick artist himself, was knocked out cold by a head kick. The irony was almost poetic. The hunter became the hunted. The weapon became the victim. Mirko later admitted, "I saw 3 opponents. I took too many shots to the head. I was finished already. It wasn't just a loss. It was a reversal of everything his career symbolized. The losses piled up after that. Cheek Congo, decision loss. Junior Dos Santos, TKO. Frank Mir, submission. Brendan Schaub, TKO. Roy Nelson, TKO. Injuries accumulated. The wars in Pride, K1, and now the UFC had taken their toll. The unstoppable force was starting to look stoppable. But Mirko Cro Cop wasn't done. He left the UFC and returned to kickboxing and Japanese MMA promotions like Dream and K1. Then, in 2015, at 40 years old, he returned to the UFC for one more run. And he got his revenge. UFC Fight Night 64, April 2015. Mirko Cro Cop versus Gabriel Gonzaga 2. After losing the first 2 rounds, Cro Cop landed a devastating elbow that rocked Gonzaga, then finished him with ground and pound. Justice, redemption, fight of the night bonus. At 40 years old, he'd proven he still had it. But 3 months later, everything changed. November 2015. Cro Cop was scheduled to fight Anthony Hamilton, but he pulled out, citing a shoulder injury. Then he abruptly retired. Then came the bomb. USADA, the UFC's anti-doping agency, announced that Mirko Cro Cop had been flagged for a potential violation. Mirko didn't deny it. He came clean immediately. He admitted to using human growth hormone, HGH, while recovering from his shoulder injury. He claimed it was for medical recovery, not performance enhancement. He even disclosed it to USADA and the UFC himself. But it didn't matter. USADA handed down a 2-year suspension, the first under the UFC's new strict anti-doping policy. And here's the devastating part. His drug tests came back negative. There was no physical evidence he had HGH in his system at the time of testing. But because he admitted to using it, the ban stood. His UFC contract was terminated in 2016. For a man who had spent his entire life embodying discipline, honor, and sacrifice, a former elite police officer, this ending felt like betrayal. Cro Cop believed he was being made an example of, especially as other fighters received lighter suspensions for similar or worse violations. But even a ban couldn't stop Mirko Cro Cop. At 42 years old, he went to Japan and won the 2016 Risen Openweight Grand Prix Championship, becoming one of only 2 fighters to win major championships in both mixed martial arts and kickboxing. He even signed with Bellator and got his revenge against Roy Nelson. His final record, 38 wins, 11 losses, 2 draws. Championship belts across multiple top organizations. A highlight reel that will never be matched. But in 2019, Mirko suffered a minor stroke. Doctors told him it was time, really time, to hang up the gloves for good. So was Mirko Cro Cop's ban justified? He admitted to using a banned substance, but tested clean. He was open and honest, yet made an example of. He was suspended under a new policy that others seem to avoid. Today, Mirko lives in Zagreb, Croatia. His legacy remains untouchable. Right leg hospital, left leg cemetery. It wasn't just a catchphrase. It was an era. It was dominance. It was a Croatian cop who became one of the most feared strikers in combat sports history. The UFC may have banned him, but they could never erase what he accomplished. Like and subscribe for more combat sports stories. Drop a comment. Do you think Cro Cop's ban was fair?